Let's move back to the head. Now, Robert, I want you to breathe in real deep. Now let that go. Push it all the way out. Again, breathe in real deep. Feel it in your feet. Now push it out. If we practice deep breathing a couple times like this during a massage, we can help the breath permeate the body. Deep breathing is a technique central to every form of relaxation known to mankind. Now let's loosen up half of the back while stabilizing the other half. Get into the sides with nice circular motions. Now we'll switch sides. We're starting to quiet down the body, and this has a stabilizing effect. Britain's Royal Navy has a stabilizing practice known as the all still. When something goes wrong on a ship, the captain announces, "All still." For 3 minutes, no one is allowed to move or speak. In a similar way, Beethoven and Mozart were known to shut themselves off from the world and go to silent rooms for days at a time. Thomas Edison would occasionally retreat to his basement, where, in the absence of sound and light, he would simply receive his ideas. Now let's cut all over the upper 2/3 of the back, avoiding the kidney area. We can extend down toward the iliac crest. We're aiming for a slight popping sound, not the crisp cracking of slap. We're trapping the air between our hands and the back, type of pneumatic press. You can also pummel if you want, since it's said that pride and arrogance are held here. If you pummel, don't bang too hard. In fact, we pull up right at the point of impact. Let's do a crisscross of arms up and down the entire back, using firm pressure. Notice how my whole body is getting into it. President Eisenhower once asked the great golfer Sam Snead for some advice on his swing. Snead replied, "Mr. President, put your ass into the ball." Massage should not be approached tentatively. Starting with forearms in the middle of the back, let's stretch in 3 directions. Then we'll finish up with a cross-arm stretch and press. It's a great upper body stretch for me as well. Oh, this feels good. The body is now entering a more meditative state with a proactive spin. We're beginning to look forward, not the usual over our shoulder. Ida Rolf, a giant in the history of bodywork, was herself relatively unconcerned with relieving physical ailments in people. Her focus was in promoting a body that can operate with greater freedom and wisdom. Her approach was proactive rather than reactive. Or as John F. Kennedy once said, the time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining. We're beginning to move from the everyday state of beta brainwaves into the slower alpha frequency. Whereas the beta state is more thought-oriented, alpha is more intuitive. Where beta is more concerned with doing, alpha leans towards being. In alpha, we're less hyper, more composed. There's a great saying in German that applies here. Eile mit Weile. When you're in a hurry, take your time. If you think about it, hurry indicates doubt in our ability to handle the situation. Beyond alpha, there's an even slower frequency called theta, associated with bursts of creative insight. Notice how these waves can be represented by a slinky, and coincidence or not, they can also represent various degrees of muscular contraction. Let's move to the calf. All our extremities are first drained by repetitive hand or forearm motion. This helps promote the faster elimination of metabolic waste such as carbon dioxide and lactic acids that can just sit there if we don't help them along. When they're stagnant, they can make us feel drowsy. Let's find the center line of the calf from which we'll broaden muscle with our thumbs. If your calves are tender, I encourage you to take as much of a good heart as you want. That's what it sometimes takes to crack this thin layer of ice over this pond known as our calf. According to the well-known Dr. James Malley, a massage instructor in California, pain is okay here if it's pain released, not pain inflicted. There's a big difference. According to Claire Maxwell Hudson, a leading massage writer from London, she calls it a grateful pain. Oh, that hurts, it feels good, keep doing it. Obviously, if pain causes our partner to tense up, it's not doing much good. Don't worry, you'll get subtle cues. Subtlety. During this massage, the calves are the only area worth applying a few moments of grateful pain. Let's smooth it out again, and notice we always drain toward the heart. Let's add some kneading in a scoop and lift motion. One hand moves in as soon as the other lifts. The contact is constant. Kneading lies at the core of massage, and it can help stabilize blood pressure. I also find it helpful to knead the medial or inner portion of the gastric medius, a tender area that enjoys attention. Let's wring the calf. This helps break up adhesions, which is a fancy term for fibers run amok, sticking to whatever they feel like. Essentially, our calves are designed as pumps for returning blood back toward the heart. And for this reason, they're sometimes called the peripheral heart. So you can see why it's so important to keep them pliable. When they're stiff as a board, they can't pump. We avoid any real pressure on the back of the knee, a delicate area. Onto the hamstrings. We'll oil up a little more. Always working outward, respecting our partner's personal space. The point to remember here is that as the hands engage the body, they can be trained, disciplined, to tap into the essence of the person within. This type of contact can act as a rousing pep talk for the spirits. Now we'll drain. We can use our fists, heels of our hands, and forearms. We're encouraging deoxygenated blood that's done its work to return toward the heart. Most medical professionals would agree to this, that most of our body's processes rely upon the appropriate movement of fluids through our systems. An area deprived of oxygenated blood becomes a breeding ground for any number of problems, just like a stagnant pool of water. By the way, in an area the size of a quarter, the skin contains enough blood vessels to stretch out this tape measure for 1 feet, 2 feet, about 3 whole feet, an entire yard. Another benefit of working the lower body is that it helps bring us down from the clouds, where too many of us live. When we live up here, we tend to reach conclusions that are out of touch with workability. Let's find and exaggerate the approximate center line. Now we'll broaden the hammy with relaxed knuckles. On tinier legs, we can use our thumbs. Picture the inside of a piano with all the strings lined up in parallel. Optimally, this is what our muscle fibers should look like. But without periodic massaging, everyday wear and tear makes them bunch together, like these scrunched Twizzlers, and soon we're playing a piano that's out of tune. As the great philosopher Plato once put it, the right education must tune the strings of the body and the mind to perfect spiritual harmony. Just picture strands of spaghetti in a pot after they're cooked, bunching together so hard you have to pull them apart. These are dysfunctional muscle fibers. Any questions? This is what we want.